Well, the critics have spoken, and we are going to keep doing the Buckeye Empire vlogs. This is number 2, coming after a big win against the Miami Redhawks. Not necessarily a big win in the name of the opponent or anything, but let's be honest, under Jim Bullman, we didn't really see very many 56-point games. A lot happened over the weekend in the Big Ten. We had some Michigan State action, some Wisconsin action, lesser action from Penn State, and even less action from Michigan. Some stuff did happen outside of the Big Ten with Pitt, who we're going to love talking about as it involves Mark May, our favorite sportscaster. And we're getting a lot of trash talk in the Twittersphere from a certain writer that likes to report on the Florida Gators. Let's start out with Michigan State and Wisconsin first. Basically, these teams have the loudest mouth head coaches in the entire Big Ten and had pretty much the poorest performance against lesser opponents out of everybody for the entire week. Michigan State played Boise State, barely won by 4 points at home. This is not the Boise State team of the last decade, not the one who beat Oklahoma, not the one going to BCS games. This is a now non-ranked Boise State game without any significantly good quarterback, and they were at home. Michigan State needs to pick up their game, although the running back did have what I can only describe as a Heisman-like game. Wisconsin, with the ugliest coach in the Big Ten, not the fattest, obviously, we know who that award goes to, but the ugliest, most loudmouth head coach ever, barely beat UNI, Northern Iowa, and the reason you may have not heard of them is because it's an FCS school. All I have to say is if their coach is going to be talking so much shit, they should probably go ahead and beat those FCS schools and not have the goal of becoming another team like Michigan to lose to one of them. Just puts a stain on our record, puts a stain on the Big Ten. That's something that Ohio State has never done. And then on to Penn State, who had basically the most emotionally draining last year of any university in the country. They had a chance to come out motivated. It was a very emotional setting there in Happy Valley. A lot of news coverage, a lot of press for that. Instead of taking that opportunity to show the country who they are, to show them what they can still do, they pissed down their leg against Ohio. Now that's no disrespect to Ohio. They play some pretty good football down there in the MAC conference as well, but it was something that they just really needed to get done, and obviously they couldn't get it done. That program will probably be happy with a couple wins this year, and their head coach will be happy if they don't have any more allegations of really anything to go on at that university. The last thing they need is even an academic scandal such as North Carolina or something like that, as that would just put even more stain on that university. I hope they can pull out a couple wins. I'm going to be honest, I can't even be mean about it. I really hope that they win more than a couple games this year and can actually salvage something for that university, as I know the only people really suffering now from those sanctions are the kids on the team and the coaches and the students there now. You know, I wrote a piece on it a couple months ago. People who should be getting punished, the coaches who were there during that tenure, the graduate assistants that were there during that tenure, anyone who's still involved in that program that was there during that tenure should be the one being punished. Not the kids on the team now, not the coaches who had nothing to do with it now, but it looks like they are in for a very long, most likely decade of losing and having this situation forever haunt. Now on to Pitt, the alma mater of the most hated ESPN broadcaster there is, Mark May. They lost to Youngstown State. And not only did they lose, but they lost 31-17. So if you get a chance, go ahead and message Mark May on Twitter, @MarkMay. And just all you need to put, hashtag embrace the hate 31-17. That's hashtag embrace the hate 31-17 @Mark_May. Now, I know you keep seeing these pictures flashing really quickly, and no, that's not an editing miscue or something. I'm not splicing stuff incorrectly. That's just kind of foreshadowing of what we're eventually going to get to. Not going to get there yet. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter from a certain sports writer that covers Florida, as I mentioned in the opening, about Urban Meyer and Ohio State and how he left Florida for Ohio State. I don't even care to mention the guy's name, but it's getting a lot of press on there. I don't know if this guy has a time machine or something. Like, he thought Urban Meyer might have one. He just showed up and said, oh, the Ohio State job's going to be vacant in a couple years. Jim Tressel's going to be kicked out of there. I think I'm going to quit Florida right now, take a couple little vacations with the family, get back into good health, put some weight back on. I lost a lot there with the stressors at Florida, get my heart right. And then, I know it's going to happen. Jim Tressel's going to be out of there. I might as well take that job. Yeah, I don't really think that happens. All these Florida fans just keep complaining, oh, they stole Urban Meyer, they took Urban Meyer left us for them. Listen, Florida fans, you've been relevant since like the mid-90s. You have 3 national titles, 96 under Spurrier and your last 2 under Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is from Ohio. He didn't leave you for us. He's always been here. His heart's always been here. That's the way it is. It's not like he just got up one day and said, oh, I think I'm going to quit Florida, go see if I can kick Jim Tressel out, make up some allegations and hope they stick. The fact of the matter is, he went to a university with more history, more national titles, more Heisman winners, a bigger budget, a bigger contract, and more tradition than what you have down there. That, and again, he's from here. I don't know why it's such a big surprise. He didn't leave on bad terms. He said, hey, not feeling that great, gotta go. Dream job comes out, I'm taking it. Deal with it. Now, on to Michigan. First off, we've heard all this trash talk from Michigan for so long here the last year that, oh, they're back, they're an elite program, we're a top 10 team, competing for a national title this year. Well, Alabama just smacked you in the face and said, shut the hell up. Not happening yet, not with Brady Hoke, and certainly not with Denard Robinson at quarterback. He looked more like Michael Vick than he ever has. You guys want to compare him to that? Well, you did a great job. Get him a Kevlar vest just like Vick, because he's Mr. Glass. If I ever get shit from another Michigan fan about us losing to Florida, I'm referencing this game. Forget Appalachian State. Forget Toledo. I'm going with Alabama 2012. And you can make up all the excuses you want about your starting running back being out. Our excuses about Ted Ginn breaking his ankle on the first play of the game after running back the opening kickoff for a touchdown don't work with you. Never, ever again, from a Michigan fan, do I ever want to hear anything about the way we lost to Florida, because you just did it to Alabama the exact same fashion and looked worse. Now, on to this week's opponent, the University of Central Florida. The University of Central Florida Knights. And the reason you might not have heard of them is because they've only had football for 33 years. The one reason you may have heard of them is because they have more allegations against them than us. And while in our eyes that might not be a lot, but in ESPN's, it's basically like we murdered a small child. Now, it's said from 2009 to 2011, a professional sports agency paid 6 basketball players and 5 football players to come to the University of Central Florida. And that would make sense because, I mean, really, who goes to the University of Central Florida for sports anyway? That, and there's a 16-page document all about this thing. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a 16-page document in a sports allegation case that proves someone innocent. Not only that, but an additional 5 basketball players have already been suspended for drug use and or accepting gifts. That, combined with a wide receivers coach already stepping down and the athletic director stepping down, say that whether we win or lose this game, it's a win in the eyes of the NCAA. Now, let's just be honest here. I'm not saying we have a chance of losing. Urban Meyer hung 56 on Miami, but UCF is a little bit different beast. I'm predicting 35-12. Yeah, 12. Well, that's it from film session number 2 here on Buckeye Empire. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Go Bucks, embrace the hate, and hey Michigan, get out there, try to get yourself a victory.